The movie kicks off in the 60s, specifically in this fictional state called Clairville, and we see the National Bank at that time being hit by a robbery. The alarm goes off, and right then, the thief comes out in a super luxury car, trying to make a getaway because the police had already reached the spot. At that moment, a really fierce chase breaks out between him and the police officers until, after a little bit, they finally corner him in a narrow street. But the shocker is that he tricked them. He opens a bridge in the street that makes him fly right over them, and he escapes from them with great ease. Even when they contacted other cars to catch up to him, he manages to handle it anyway and sprays sleeping gas from his fancy car, making the police officers go to sleep instantly. But then, out of that gas, the stubborn detective Ginkgo emerges, holding his breath along with the two guys with him, and he takes off in the car after the tricky thief. Despite his huge persistence at the time, the thief tricks him too and leaves the car flipped over in the middle of the road and just vanishes. Right then, the poor cop with Ginkgo is surprised and asks him, who could pull off all these exciting tricks? Ginkgo's answer at the time is that it's definitely the famous thief, Diabolik. Anyway, the next day we see a party for the literal elite of the elite, the rich and the officials in the country, which is being held in the palace of Count Giorgio. He's the deputy of one of the ministers, and while he's standing with the people, he sees the beautiful aristocrat Eva had finally arrived. We find out then that she was married to a very rich man, but he died a while ago and left her a massive fortune. So she traveled the world for a bit until she decided to settle down in Clairville for now. While Giorgio is introducing her to the rest of the officials, she hears about the thief Diabolik, who's terrifying the whole country, to the point that one of them says meeting Diabolik is like meeting death itself, and it's impossible to get out of it. This talk increases the curiosity of the charming Eva, and she wants to know exactly who this man is. Generally, after the party, Giorgio tries to get Eva to stay over at his place tonight, but she tells him, "Don't you think we're jumping over too many hurdles? I just got here, you know?" She refuses to even let him drop her off and decides to walk to the hotel she's staying at. But on the way, Detective Ginkgo appears in front of her, shows her his badge, and tells her she's in danger from Diabolik and they need to talk for a bit. Since Eva is curious to know more about this legendary thief, she decides to sit and talk and understand the story from him. It turns out Eva came with a very expensive jewel, and Ginkgo thinks it'll definitely be a target for Diabolik, and he'll try to steal it. Eva is surprised and asks him, how would Diabolik even know about the diamond in the first place? The detective confirms to her, looking sad, that he's always one step ahead of everyone. She's very surprised by his way of talking, especially since he's praising Diabolik like he's a unique talent, but he justifies his stance by saying Diabolik has followers everywhere reporting all the news to him. During the conversation, she understands that he wants to use her as bait and put men around her, and as soon as Diabolik shows up, they'll arrest him immediately. However, she agrees when she feels her life is in danger, and she tells him the hotel she'll be staying at and also the diamond that will arrive there for her in 2 days. This way, in front of everyone, the diamond will be put in the hotel manager's safe. But in reality, the diamond will be in a very secure safe inside Eva's room itself. Ginkgo thanks her for this cooperation and asks her never to let anyone know about their conversation, because no one knows Diabolik's face even now, and he could literally be anyone around them. Anyway, at night, we see the personal bodyguard appointed by the hotel manager being with Eva when she arrives, and we notice at that time that Diabolik is watching him and recording every word he says. As soon as the guard goes out to the street, Diabolik stabs him with a knife in his back, killing him instantly, and he opens a manhole cover in the street like that and moves him through it. Once he gets to the hideout, we see that he's obsessed with precision, especially with plans, to the point that he's playing the bodyguard's voice and repeating it more than once until he reaches the exact same way and pitch of his voice. Anyway, the next day we discover that Diabolik is actually named Walter, and he's with someone named Elisa, who is standing with her friend right now, looking sad and complaining to her that Walter stays away from her for days, to the point that it's very rare when he comes home. But we understand from him before that he made her understand this is work and nothing else. But her friend tells her, as long as he's bringing in a lot of money and giving it to you, honey, then thank God and kiss your hand front and back. But Elisa turned out to actually love him and doesn't want anything else in her life. At that time, Eva arrives at the hotel, and the manager introduces her to the personal bodyguard who will be responsible for her. But the weird thing is we see him alive, even though Diabolik killed him. But just stay with me, and you'll understand the big trick, because we were the ones fooled. Anyway, the guard takes her and brings her up to the room, and as soon as she enters the bathroom, he goes to look for the safe. But suddenly the phone rings, so Eva comes to answer, and he hides. But of course he hears the call taking place between her and Giorgio, who wanted to meet her at his house today so they could hang out for a bit. She tries to make him understand that he's a jerk and shouldn't ask her for that, but he doesn't get it. So she decides to accept the invitation and go see what he wants, and that's it. When night comes, Elisa goes to her house and finds Walter Diabolik finally back. But the weird thing is he tells her, "Don't be so happy because I'm leaving right now, right this second." Elisa is shocked and tells him, "At least make a bite for us to eat together." But the guy is totally checked out and refuses and leaves her. Poor thing, heartbroken like that, and leaves without a care. He decides to put on the Diabolik suit and the mask to go steal the diamond from Eva's safe, especially since she went to the appointment with Giorgio and no one is in the room. But as soon as he opens the safe, he finds the door opening and Eva had come back early. So he appears from behind her and puts the knife to her throat so she doesn't make a sound. Here, she knows he's Diabolik and tells him, "You're coming to waste your time here, unfortunately," and she shocks him that the diamond she has is actually fake. But he thinks she's trying to trick him and pressures her to tell the truth. But she tells him that she sold the real diamond before her husband died because she needed money. It turns out there was a gang blackmailing Eva with info about her past, so she decided to give them that money because her husband couldn't know anything. And she told him that everything was done in secret through a middleman. By the way, if you're enjoying this madness, help me hit 1,000 subscribers so I can drop a new video for you guys every single day. Despite that, Diabolik is suspicious of her and feels she's playing with him, but she tells him, "Go to an expert to examine the diamond and you'll confirm my words. But then you have to bring it back again because I have a party and I can't show up without it." As soon as he leaves the place, he keeps thinking about what happened and also thinks about the charm of the beautiful Eva, as if he's saying inside, "Please let her be telling the truth so I don't have to kill her." Because of that, the first thing he does is enter his hideout and examines the jewel, and then he's happy when he confirms it's actually fake, even though this means the operation failed. It turns out then also that he made his hideout under the garden of the house with Elisa, who wakes up from sleep startled and feels like something is moving in the garden. But before she breaks down, Walter appears to her and calms her down and makes her point out to him what she saw. But since there's nothing there, he accuses her of being crazy with extreme violence, to the point that Elisa gets scared and is forced to agree with him that there was actually nothing. Anyway, the next day when Eva wakes up, she finds the diamond next to her instead of breakfast. So she calls her guard and thanks him for the breakfast and asks him about Diabolik. But when she finds he doesn't know him, she says, "I really want to meet the real Diabolik, even if it's worth the risks." Here the shock happens and the guard takes off the mask and we discover it's Walter Diabolik, who has a device through which he can make the face of any human being on planet Earth. At that time, Elisa keeps looking toward the garden of her house and she's not comfortable. So she decides to go down and look for herself because she actually saw something. She's shocked when she keeps knocking on the ground and the door to Diabolik's secret hideout opens. As soon as she goes down into it, she stands in a state of amazement. As for Eva, she was sitting looking at the mask made by Diabolik and she's fascinated. When she focuses on the details, she understands that he is the same Detective Ginkgo who went to her the first time. What confirms this even more is that Elisa sees many faces in the hideout, including the face of the veteran detective. All of this increases Eva's curiosity even more toward Walter Diabolik, and she wants to get close to him and know him more and more. But it also shows on Diabolik that he still doesn't trust her enough. But despite that, he tells her that he's married to someone like that, and he'll leave her some money and disappear from her life soon. The poor guy didn't know that his wife, after seeing the hideout, called the police immediately. When Eva finds him telling her this, she tells him too that she's engaged to Giorgio, the Deputy Minister of Justice, and she was also the middleman in the deal to sell the diamond to the gang. Even though she doesn't love him, he blackmails her heavily because Eva is involved in her husband's death, and Giorgio has a full file on the matter in his safe. When Diabolik hears this, he decides to steal the file for her by any means because he's basically starting to like her. At that same time, Ginkgo and the police officers arrive at Elisa's house. But when she sees Ginkgo specifically, she gets scared and tells him about the mask with his same face. He and his men enter the hideout, and then they're surprised by what's inside. As for Diabolik, he was returning in his car and enters through a secret door inside a mountain to his second hideout and brings out a file in the name of Giorgio and gets ready to carry out the mission. As soon as night comes, he takes the car and goes to the hideout of Elisa's house. At that time, Ginkgo and the others are lying in wait there too, and they surround him from all directions. Diabolik tries to trick them and escape, but he can't and is officially arrested. At that point, Elisa comes out to see him, but he doesn't give her any attention and leaves with the police. Anyway, the next day Eva keeps waiting for him so they can escape together like they agreed. But when she finds he's late, she gets sad and thinks he's avoiding her until she sees news in the papers talking about the arrest of the famous thief Diabolik. She feels bad then that she misjudged him and decides to go attend his trial. On the day of the trial, Eva arrives and sees Diabolik in the cage, so she communicates with him using Morse code, which basically depends on tapping in a certain way. In our case here, Eva keeps talking to him with her hands quietly, and he responds by blinking and closing his eyes in a certain way. When Eva asks him how she can help him, he describes everything he needs. But the judge notices then that Diabolik hasn't uttered a single word since he was arrested, and because of that, he appoints a lawyer to defend him. Anyway, when night comes, Eva goes to a certain address she found out from Diabolik, and it turns out to be one of his secret hideouts, and with that same fancy car of his too, as usual. So she takes it and goes to another place to get certain chemical tools and a few things that Diabolik had requested, who got a death sentence in the trial and didn't care and didn't speak either. Anyway, the next day Eva goes to visit Giorgio in his office and treats him nicely, unlike her usual self, and confirms to him that she's finally agreed to marry him and be with him forever. She keeps playing him until she tells him, "But you have to do something to amaze me, like for example, letting me see the famous thief Diabolik before he's executed." Giorgio is shocked because the matter is difficult and dangerous, but when he finds she's upset with him, he's forced to agree. But he stipulates that he goes with her too. Indeed, they go to the warden of the prison where Diabolik is, and he introduces Eva as a secret agent from National Security who needs to talk to Diabolik for a bit in private. When he agrees, Eva also asks him to turn off the cameras and everything because it'll be a secret meeting. Indeed, he sits them down with Diabolik, who still hasn't spoken since the day he was arrested either, and he closes the room on them and disconnects everything. After a while, Giorgio and Eva come out looking frustrated, and they let the prison director know that Diabolik doesn't want to say a single word and they'll have to leave. The next day, the prison director stands with Ginkgo, and they follow the execution of the death sentence. When he finds out the story that he wasn't talking since he was arrested, he gets worried and remembers the many masks he saw at his hideout. He tries to stop the execution, but unfortunately, he doesn't make it in time, and his head is cut off immediately in front of everyone present. When he goes to take the mask off his face, he's shocked that they executed Giorgio, the deputy minister. Here we discover that Eva is the one who prepared a mask in the shape of Giorgio and set everything up based on Diabolik's instructions. As soon as the room was closed on them, she stabbed him with a special type of sedative injection from the hideout too. This injection makes him hallucinate and confess to anything without realizing it. So Diabolik takes the chance then and finds out from him the password for the safe so he can get Eva's file. He also confesses to him that the safe has the key to his treasure, which consists of gold bars and a lot of money from his work in the north. And this key opens a deposit box in the central bank. Diabolik, of course, after taking all this information, had Eva give him another injection so he would stay calm under the mask and not speak until he's executed in silence. When Ginkgo realizes what happened, he decides to use the matter to his advantage and hides the news of Giorgio's death from the news until tomorrow only. He asks one of the cops to find out who the woman was that helped Diabolik escape. At that time, Diabolik is disguised in the shape of Giorgio indeed, and enters his office and is able to open the safe and takes Eva's file and the treasure key. But he gets startled when he hears the secretary talking on the phone, and it's Ginkgo calling to find out any info. He's shocked when she tells him that Giorgio is actually here if he wants him. So he asks her to leave the office immediately and she'll find 2 of his men there, tell them that Diabolik is here. Of course, Diabolik hears the whole call, so he goes down quickly. Once he goes out, Eva is waiting for him with that fancy car that I really want for myself, honestly, and they leave the place without anyone seeing or knowing. But he tells her, that Jinko knows he's still alive and will definitely set a trap for him. Anyway, when Jinko reaches the office, he finds the safe completely empty and understands that Diabolik is finished and gone. So he sits with the secretary and interrogates her to find out exactly what was in the safe. But when she confirms to him that she doesn't know anything, he has his men take her away so they can search the office. During the search, one of the cops notices certain files thrown behind the bathroom, so he takes them to Jinko immediately to examine them. It turns out they're evidence of the illegal operations Giorgio was carrying out, and they guess that Diabolik was looking for these files. But Jinko isn't convinced by this matter. Anyway, the next day, Eva disguises herself in the shape of a noble lady from a known family and goes to the central bank where Giorgio's treasure box is. She pretends that she has very rare paintings and wants to put them in this bank. Because of that, the manager takes her on a tour of the place and explains to her their professional security system in detail, which is secure to the point that if someone just touches the safe, the alarm will go off immediately. Eva is fascinated by this strong protection system and decides to put the paintings in one of the existing safes. At that time, the veteran Jinko has gathered the details of the case and understood how Diabolik escaped the execution and put the deputy minister in his place. From the files they found, he can guess that the safe had a key to Giorgio's treasures, especially since he was blackmailing senior officials in exchange for gold bars. But he doesn't understand who left the files in the bathroom like that. As for Eva, she returns to Diabolik and tells him all the details about the bank and the safe. And after that, she goes back to ask him how they'll act. So he tells her that the bank closes at 5 o'clock and there are only 2 guards, and he'll be able to handle it and steal the safe in his own way because her role is finished up to here. When night comes, while he's sitting planning and preparing his equipment, Eva goes down to watch him, and right then she's surprised by the high professional precision he has. She's shocked even more when she sees a map of a sewage system located entirely under the bank, which is all connected to scattered manholes in the streets. Diabolik will use one of these openings to go down until he reaches the wall exactly behind the safe. He'll use a special tool to make a hole with extreme care because if he touches the safe, the alarm will ring. He'll then bring a gun filled with a strong acid and move it close to the safe lock with extreme precision and caution. This acid will make the safe lock melt instantly and he can enter it easily. He reassures her that he's taken everything into account and will be able to carry out the operation successfully. At that time, we see the secretary had returned to Giorgio's office and is looking for the files in the bathroom. But she's shocked by Jinko's men appearing in front of her. They take her to talk to him, and he asks her then why she took these files from the safe before they arrived. So she confesses that she did that because she was scared there would be something on her or something, because Giorgio was literally blackmailing everyone. She confesses to him too that there was a key in the safe and Diabolik took it. As for Diabolik, he's already prepared and will take a boat from the sea and go carry out the mission. But at that time, Eva is upset that she'll stay home, and she's scared for him. But he reassures her that the matter will be done easily, especially since Jinko is distracted right now with something else entirely. That's what's actually happening, but Jinko found out about the bank safe key already and refuses then for them to inform the bank so they can prepare, because Diabolik will definitely try to steal it. Because of that, he decides to gather his men, and they move there to set an ambush for him. At that time, Diabolik has caused a water leak in the safe room, so the alarm rings. So they bring the sewage official, who tells them they have to open the safe room and see how the leak happened. The only one who has the key to the safe currently is the manager, whom they called, and she got in the car and moved immediately. But Diabolik doesn't leave anything to chance at all. He drops a tree on the road in front of her to delay her a bit. He then dives into the water, which disrupts the electricity system in the safe. But the employees aren't surprised and think this is normal because of the leak that happened. But as soon as Jinko arrives and finds out about the leak, he understands that Diabolik is here and is emptying the safe right now. So he contacts the police officers in the city and asks them to show up now at the bank. After a bit, the manager had arrived, but then the sewage official warns her that if they open the safe door, the water will flood the whole bank. So Jinko asks them to bring him a map of the tunnels under the bank and their openings immediately. At that same time, Eva, who was present in a house on the sea in front of the bank, sees the police officers moving there. So she feels Diabolik is in danger and decides to go help him. But when two of the cops recognize her, she hits them with sleeping injections and escapes instantly. She then finds that Jinko has put men at every manhole opening through which Diabolik might come out. So she goes to them and puts them to sleep, one after the other, in total silence. When Diabolik finishes the mission and comes out, he doesn't find anyone to block his way. But when he reaches the sea, he's shocked that Jinko is standing in front of him, threatening him with a weapon and making him take off the mask so he can see his real face for the first time. We see then the conflict between Jinko, represented in the law and who doesn't like to break the rules, and the genius thief Diabolik, who sees freedom as the most important thing for him. During their talk, Eva comes out and hits Jinko in his leg, knocking him down. Despite Diabolik taking his weapon from him, he refuses to kill him and leaves him and walks with Eva, as if he wants to say, "I steal from the rich and kill them, yeah, but the police, no." After that, we see Diabolik and Eva on board a big ship in the middle of the sea, and he surprises her when he brings out her real diamond because he found it in Ginkgo's safe. But Eva shocks him even more then and throws it in the sea to prove to him, God damn her, that she wants to forget the past and start a new life with him, and only him. Because of that, you have to make sure you're subscribed to the channel and destroyed the bell if you want to continue. I mean, the story of the genius thief, Walter Diabolik, with his arch-enemy, Detective Ginkgo, in a new game. Go ahead and write to us in the comments and we'll drop the next part right away. Bye.